Welcome once again to The Sage. As usual, it's a real pleasure to be here with you. To all my fellow countrymen and women, I want to say welcome and happy survival. It's been an incredibly difficult few months for all of us. Our country has been going and continues to go through a very difficult time. Of course, I talk about the travails of the cash crisis, the fuel shortages, the election problems, and therefore the attendant hardship on all of us. As a mother, as a citizen, my heart bleeds for the thousands of families in this country who are going through incredibly difficult times. So happy survival to all of us, to help all of us understand the gravity of the situation. I did the most natural thing. I brought on set today. Some of these are wonderful young entrepreneurs who are indeed demonstrating remarkable grit and resilience and running their businesses. But they are facing huge challenges. And I think it's necessary for all of us to listen to them, to understand what they're going through, and to begin in good time to think about what to do to help them survive the present situation, praying that it normalizes soon. Ngozi Onwebunwoke, the CEO of Sem Food and Spices. She's very well known on this show. In fact, I do call her my firstborn child. She was part of the first set of entrepreneurs we produced. And her business has grown and continues to give us a story of joy and success. Ngozi, welcome to the set.
Thank you, Mom. It's an honor to be here.
On my left is Adeola Samuel, the CEO of TDO Foods.
Oh, yes.
A wonderful young lady, one of the younger sets. But a joy. I mean, trust me, I have sampled all their goods. It's quality assurance, you see. And the things she produces are so unique. But they will have a chance to tell you a little bit more about their enterprise.
Okay.
Adeola, thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure training you. It's a pleasure watching you succeed as a young businesswoman.
Thank you for believing in me.
And last on the set, but certainly not the least, is Ogechi Wanyamu, my garden fairy. A young entrepreneur that does something that gives joy to my heart, particularly to my life, whose passion and business is in gardening, in producing plants, herbs, spices, flowers, fruits, name it. From very little space. Ogechi is a magician. She is a real garden fairy. My home has been blessed by, I've always been a king gardener who had no time to garden, but you are helping so much. So Ogechi will tell us a great deal more about her business. Ogechi, it's been a joy having you as a fellow, as a student, and watching your business grow. Welcome to the set.
Thank you, Mommy, for having me.
Okay, at Sem Foods and Spices, what we do, we process, package, market, and distribute natural spices, date powders, granular cereals, and herbal teas.
My name is Adeola once again, and I'm into agro-processing into flour and ready-to-eat snacks. I produce kuli-kuli, spicy, tasty kuli-kuli, peanut, plantain flour, beans flour, and pop-off mix. The online sales, that is even the main market for us because I don't have a physical shop, so most people order online. They order online, and do you know that my 32,000 is still hanging from a customer from buying kuli-kuli, and then 32,000 is hanging for 2 weeks now. We don't even know where exactly it is.
That is
Because even
shocking.
internet banking these days
Oh, it's
has
messed
been
up.
crazy.
It's messed up. It's messed up, honestly.
Such an important point. A young entrepreneur, a purchase of 32,000 of one product, until after 2 weeks you still haven't seen the money. That is significant. That is, significant on your business.
Yes.
And so that the crisis indeed is not just an issue of cash or even fuel, but banking. The internet banking has been, crazy,
Really crazy, yes.
across most of the banks and for many people. So it's sad. But let me turn to you, Ogechi. What about you? Tell us about your business and also tell us the challenges you're facing.
Okay, my business, the Garden Fairy, we make gardening possible for urban and suburban residents, in the sense that most times when you talk to urban or suburban residents, their main issue, their major problem is space. Keep telling you, oh, I really want to start a garden, but I don't have ample space to start a garden. So what we do, we offer container-friendly fruit trees, plants, ornamental plants, herbs, veggies that grow and fruit inside a pot. So if you say you don't have space, all you need is just a bucket. Once you have a bucket, you could have an endless gardening will just be an endless possibility for you, because whatever you want, whatever fruit tree you want, just know you could have it in a flower pot and you're good to go. But for me, this cash crunch has been, I think I'll use the word crazy, because I've not been able to make deliveries outside of Abuja. I've not been able to make like about 5 deliveries outside of Abuja, because when you get to the park, the driver is telling you that he doesn't accept transfer. That is only cash. And I keep wondering, we are all in Nigeria. We know the situation, we know the problem that we're having. So why are you telling me that you cannot accept transfer? And truly, his reasons are actually valid, because sometimes when transactions are made, you're debited, but at the end of the day, just like her, the other person does not receive the funds. The money is hanging somewhere in the air, and you go to the bank. Sometimes bank doesn't even let you in. So there's always a back and forth. So basically, I can understand why he wouldn't want to accept transfer. So for now, those 5 deliveries have been on hold. Now, going down to the artisans I work with, because I also like to mix good soil for my plants. So I have artisans that help me source for manual. At the end of the day, you need to pay them cash. That was how it used to be before all this. And then when you're like, okay, let me pay you with transfer, they'll be like, madam, I don't even get account number. So it has actually been hard, I wouldn't lie. Then down to deliveries, because of, like she mentioned, the whole bike system, changing the bike to what the government wants. It has actually been tough. So most times I get to use Bolt. But even using Bolt, number 1, Bolt is expensive. Number 2, the whole bank transaction thing comes into play as well. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to make payments for it, it's either your bank debits you and he doesn't get it, or it doesn't even go at all. The banking system has just been really crazy. So I don't know, this whole crash.
I don't think they prepared for this whole
no, they didn't prepare for it.
They didn't see it coming.
They didn't prepare for it at all.
They didn't at all.
Asking any of you, what would you quantify your reduction in business or losses within the past 2-3 months? Are you able to estimate about what percentage would you say?
I would say over 40%. Over 40%, because we are competing with other things that people tend to call priority in terms of, because the truth about it is that they are looking for a basic thing they will eat. Every family is looking for a basic thing they will eat. So when you're even preaching and talking about health, choose healthy alternatives, choose healthy food, they're like, let's even see the one we eat first before we now start talking, is it healthy, is it not healthy, So it's the pressure is on, like the pressure is really on. So we are not, right now we have to now start thinking of alternatives and things we can do to just, boost the system and boost the company growth and all that. So
40% for you.
I would say 50%.
50%. Okay.
Yeah, while she was talking, I was trying to flip through my books, and I would say 45% has really dropped, because from not being able to make deliveries, not being able to customize, because we also customize pots. I've not been able to customize pots. I've not been able to get goods from other states. So yeah, I would say 45%.
Wow, Ogechi, you said 45%?
5%.
That is huge. So on the average for the three of you, Ngozi said 40% reduction. For you, Adeola, it was 50%. For you, 45%. So we're really talking 50 to 40%. Probably I would say an average of 45%, which is huge. Which is huge and heartbreaking. I mean,
Yes,
it's so
it is.
sad because I know that by the time you all graduated from the program, you were flying. Ngozi, for instance, had in fact expanded to, was it 12 states?
Yeah.
Where you were delivering your products and so on. And so that is huge. That is huge. As we had looked and hoped and saw you indeed expanding, it's sad to hear about such drastic reductions. And so let me start with you, Ogechi, and say, first of all, two questions really. One is, what was most hit that led to that for your own 45% reduction? And how do you see all of us being able to step in, hopefully when it's all over, and even now, to help you reverse the trend?
Okay, so to answer your first question, what was most hit was sales. Because there was no cash to make cash payments, and there was the whole messy transaction thing that was going on. Banking systems were having issues, so even when transactions are made, it's either the transaction didn't go forward or on the other person's end it did, and then the recipient, didn't receive it. So I would say sales was actually really hit. And then to answer your second question, I would say cash.
That is in terms of support
yes,
that
in
you
terms
need.
of support.
Cash should be freely available so
freely
you can
available,
pay.
yes, so that I could pay my artisans. Because now I find myself doing their job. Normally what they do for me, they go and source manure for me and help me mix it as incorporate it into the soil to make the soil rich. But now I find myself sourcing for the manure myself, incorporating the manure into the soil myself, and bagging it myself. This time I would have used it to decorate pots, customize pots, or upcycle pots, but I spend more time doing the job they were supposed to do. So that's one. Then secondly, I would say partnership with logistic companies, because I think they will be more, should I say, use the word sensible or reasonable enough rather, to have conversations like, okay, let me do a transfer for you since there's no available cash. Or if they have POS, I could use my card to pay, even though sometimes that doesn't work either, that fails. But I think partnership with the logistics company would actually go a long way.
Okay. That's a very interesting thought. Let me move to you, Adeola. What about you? So for you, you experienced 50%, you said. Well, what area was most hit? And what kind of support do you think will help you bounce back? And indeed, not just bounce back, but also expand in the future?
Thank you very much, Ma. Mostly sales, and my profit margin reduced because there was not enough finance to have bulk purchase. If I had stocked up enough before the cash crash, it would have been easy for me to make production and also sell out. But I find myself paying more to get to the markets, local farms, where local markets where I buy my raw material, and then I tend to pay more for the raw materials. Then sometimes transfer doesn't even go through. So I get frustrated, I come back home without even making the purchase. Then I have to go back again. Then that is eating up on my profit. And my product is not something you can just wake up every day and say you want to increase the price. So we have to just do with the little that comes out at the end of the day. Then distributors of like 6 distributors reduced to like 3 because they were not making so much sales as well. Schools was not in session, and this cash thing affected everybody. It's not just the rich, the rich, the poor, everybody has something to say about it. But I believe that if I had had enough stock at home, it wouldn't have so much affected me this much. So I'm saying it's only 50%.
So what you're saying is that for you, what the kind of support you need is enough money funds infused, perhaps into the business that would allow you make bulk purchases,
Yes.
which would then make your production more efficient.
Oh, yes.
All right? Yeah. Okay. Ngozi, what about you? Again, which areas were most affected, and what do you think can be done to repair the damage, so to say?
For us as a company, I would say both sales and production, because the cost of raw materials like almost doubled. So for the same, let's say for 100,000, for instance, I can produce like 50 pouches or 50 packs. Now for that same 100,000, I might be producing 25 packs. So even when you produce that 25 packs, because we struggled a lot. We, as much as possible, didn't want to increase our prices. We tried to, carry out surveys with our customers. Should we reduce the quantity? Should we maintain the quantity? Of course, everybody knows the price of stocks were going up. So you see, producing less, and even that less not being sold was a major hit for us, So eventually we had to increase the price, but we still tried to be at least even lower than our competitors. So the profit margin became very, very little. For us now, it's about survival more than making profit for the business. Yeah. So sales and production actually reduced because we're not able to buy as much raw materials as we used to, looking at the funds available. So I think the first thing we would need, like she said, making cash available. Cash is like the major engine to everything when it comes to SMEs. Especially for small businesses like us that are trying to grow. I still see myself as a small business, trying to grow. We need cash. Then another thing I'm open to is partnerships. Partnerships with local farmers or agents, agri-agents, that liaise between producers and local farmers. Because I feel like if we go to the core villages, we may be able to get these things at cheaper rates, especially when we are dealing with the farmers directly. We should be able to get them at cheaper rates. So we're open to partnerships. We're open to logistic partnerships, both within and outside Abuja and also outside the country. And networking basically, so that we can also get to talk about our product to newer people and, of course, build our customer base as well.
Yeah. Everything you've all said makes sense. More funds, obviously necessary, to allow you to try and repair the damage that's been done, and whether it's in buying bulks and become more efficient. You've also, many of you talked about logistics, the partnership. I think perhaps someday you may even think about when you're more stable and back on your feet, actually jointly partnering or owning a logistic company, because for many of you, distribution is important for your products.
Yeah.
So that might be something to think about, where so that you're running one as a group of entrepreneurs, and therefore have that at your disposal. And so some of the funds that, if that we're reaching out to the public, are the kind of things that can be infused to help you do those things. Have on ground an efficient logistic company that attends to the various needs of the various businesses. And I think I will also organize a mental health lecture for you.
We need it so much.
We had given you while you were a fellow, but I think
we need
post-traumatic
stress.
Exactly.
Before this whole thing started, as a company, we already had a logistic company. Okay. So we made it easier for customers. So even for especially bigger clients, those we know that they keep buying from us, we try to see how we can give them discount. That's why I said at this point we had to now step away from the logistic aspect and look for other people that we could work with, because it was okay. Then they changed the bike. The bike change was a crazy move, And then this new CC bikes, I think one goes for like almost 700,000 and all that. So it was a drastic change. We had not even finished recuperating the money we spent in the other one. So at the point I said, you know what, we just sold the bikes.
And the fuel consumption is high.
Yes, it's higher than
my
general.
bike is still at home
And the spare parts are difficult to get.
So
we just sold the old bikes, and I'm like, okay, if you buy, you have to think of how to come and pick up what you bought, So
which will affect your sales.
Yeah, because
how many people can pick up? Yes. It's to your advantage that delivery happens. If not, both sides are losing. The
Yeah.
customer, the
Yeah.
client doesn't get, but you also don't
Mhm.
sell. And so that is a loss in business. And so, again, thank you, my young,
Thank you
beautiful
for having
entrepreneurs.
me.
Let me assure our audience that we do have some male ones. It is by coincidence that we only have the ladies on the set today. Thank you for coming and sharing. And I am still sort of pained myself as I recognize the challenges you're facing. And so I turn again to our audience and I call to everybody in our beloved country, to government, to private companies that can afford it, to all good-willed citizens of this country, and say that this is a crisis. We need to nip this crisis in the bud. We need to recognize that our young entrepreneurs are pivotal to our economy, to the success for themselves and for others, providing jobs in the society. We need to recognize the hard work they've already put in establishing and running their businesses. And we need to be on top of the act in helping them survive and expand. Like I said at the beginning of the program, during the COVID pandemic, this was recognized as an emergency. We in Nigeria are undergoing circumstances even more severe economically than the COVID. We need to come to the aid of these entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs, I focus a great deal on young people, but really, in fairness, all entrepreneurs, medium and small scale enterprises in this country. We call on government and partners to make facilities available to allow them infuse the necessary cash and funds that would help them rebuild and expand. They have described ways in which these funds, this support can be used, whether it's in efficiency in logistic companies that need to be functioning or they can partner with, whether it's in terms of bulk buying so that there's more efficiency, there's less need to keep shuttling back and forth to the market, and so on and so forth. We make a passionate appeal for partners to mobilize. We in C4C are poised, so eager to be part of this effort, to mobilize support and resources in cash and in kind that will help them sustain, revamp, and expand their businesses. It is a potential crisis for our country. We owe it to our young people, and we owe it for the economy of this country. Thank you for having been with us and having listened to us. We are confident that this cry will be heard and that our young people will be helped, and that we will not allow businesses to fold and suffer unduly. We thank you, and we see you next week.